Today is October 18th, 2015, and we're here to interview Mr. Henry for the Veterans History Project. The interviewer is Joseph Messineo. Could you please state your full name and date of birth for the record?
Irvin E. Henry, 6'8" excuse me.
It was August 10, right?
8/10 to 24.
24. And where were you born, Mr. Henry?
Big Run, Pennsylvania.
Was Big Run a big town or a small town?
It's a rural area on my grandfather's farm. My mother and dad went back there to have me, I guess. Mm-hmm. And it's just north of Punxsutawney. Punxsutawney, as you know, is a famous place for seeing the grasshopper, seeing the groundhog.
The groundhog, right?
Every year.
What was the name of your father?
Frederick, Irvin Frederick Henry.
And what did he do for a living? What was his profession?
He worked in a paper mill in Johnsonburg, Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
43 years after retirement.
And what was your mother's name?
Her mother?
Your mother, yes.
She was a homemaker most of the time.
Mm-hmm. And what was her name?
Ruth. Okay. Ruth Marjorie.
And did she ever work, or she was mostly home, you said?
Yeah, during the war, she worked in the defense plant. That sort of thing.
Okay, very good. Were both of your parents born here, or did they immigrate from another country?
No, both here. Yeah.
Both born in this country, okay. And did you have siblings? And
yeah, I had 5 sisters.
Mm-hmm. What were their names?
Louise, mm-hmm. Shirley, Nellie.
I think Mildred and Betty, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so we're going to kind of go to the time that's just before the war. You know, Europe is at war, but we're not yet at war. What were you doing just before Pearl Harbor? What was going on in your life?
Well, it was pretty well settled. We did a lot of hunting in the mountains of Allegheny Mountains of western Pennsylvania, and playing football and that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm.
So you would be
everybody had a job. That was interesting too. I was only 15, 16 when I had a job with a fellow that had a stone quarry, mm-hmm. and grinding up sandstone for sand.
Right.
But every kid seemed to have a job. We worked for a farmer for 50 cents a day. Those things. Kept active that way.
So you were in good shape, probably.
Yeah, and go in to jump in the river to go swimming and so on. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. And you would be, you were in high school at the time, correct?
That's right.
You were, and so tell me where you were and how you found out about Pearl Harbor.
About what?
Pearl Harbor, when the Japanese attacked us.
We had been out in the woods, as I mentioned, and we come back into town. I was with some of our buddies, and their dad had an old car. And we stopped, saw all these people on Main Street near the Johnsonburg Press, a newspaper. I wonder what in the world was going on, because in those days, you stayed home, sit on the front porch and watch the cars go by. You didn't do much on Sundays. And something's going wrong. So you stop, and somebody had put a big banner stuff, Japs bomb Pearl Harbor. I can see it yet. That people around, where in the world is Pearl Harbor? Nobody seemed to know where it was or what. But that began, let's say. And so Fritz, my buddy, and said, we're going down and enlist. You know. He was 17-year-old. Mm-hmm. So we hitchhiked to Du Bois, Pennsylvania, and to join the Navy. And we assumed we were honest and everything, brought these papers home, and my parents wouldn't sign them.
So what did you remember what your mother said? Usually your mothers are the ones that protest the most, but...
Well, she wouldn't sign, and my dad wouldn't. They both came from farm families, mm-hmm. and their life was a one-room school. So they wanted me to finish high school, finish your education, then you can go do what you want to. And that was about what, and I wound up then.
All right.
Why I joined the Marine Corps. I come home now on a weekend and told my dad I'm going to join the Marines. He said, God, what do you do that for? And I said, what do you mean? He said, why did you join? And I said, I like the uniform. And he said, at least you'll have a place to eat and sleep if you join the Navy. And I could think about that when I landed in a foxhole out in the Pacific.
Yeah, yeah. So you did graduate from high school, right?
Yes.
Okay, and then you got right down to business and joined. So you graduated, it looks like in 1942, and then
42, right.
joined the Marines at that point. All right, so you've decided to join, you've enlisted. Tell us about your departure from home. It's the day that you're now supposed to leave. Do you remember the circumstances, what your mother said to you, what your father said to you?
I don't remember much of what my mother did. She was sad or cried, I can remember, that I was leaving and packing my kid. And I had to get on the B&O train to Buffalo. And they put us in overnight to get ready to go. And they took, the only time I ever had that blues uniform was in Buffalo. They took our picture in Buffalo to send to our mother. Because the Marine Corps is a dress uniform, but we didn't, all we got had a blouse on and a white cap. That was as near as I got to any dress in the 3 years I was in service.
So the whole reason you joined was that uniform. You got to wear the coat for 10 minutes, right?
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. So were you at Fort Niagara? I believe Buffalo, that was one of the places that was there. Do you remember the name of the place that you went?
Where was this?
In Buffalo. What was the name of the...
It was a motel.
Oh, so just a motel. Okay.
I remember going to some older guy talked us into going to a burlesque show. We're a kid from the country. We didn't know what a burlesque show was.
Huh. And you did go?
Yeah, we went there.
Yeah, I guess you got an education real fast.
My mother wasn't to look over my shoulder.
Yeah. Did you have a nickname in the service?
Yeah.
What did they call you?
Hank.
Hank. Were you Hank back home or just Hank when you got to the service?
No, when I was about 7, 8 years old, a radio show called, it was Tom Mix and others on the radio. And there was a character, my buddies all called me Hank, not for that reason or the last name, but this character was on the radio, that Hank Aiken. And I kept that thing, the same thing, right up through service, and college, and so, where else? I taught school, and it was just, I said, Doris, I got a promotion, I was going to move to Groton. And I said, I want to leave that bloomin' nickname in Newfields. She said, well, why? I said, everybody, how could it be Henry all the time? So that's how I changed that nickname.
So you left it behind when you when you moved.
And people who I known 50 years ago in this little town of Newfield, some still call me Hank. Not very many. It's all gone.
Yeah.
My sister has left, and other people in Johnsonburg I'm known as Hank. I know no other name.
Yeah. All right. So you're in Buffalo, and where did you actually, was boot camp in that area? Your basic.
No.
Where did they take you for basic training?
They put us on a train to Philadelphia, and then down to a place called Beaufort, South Carolina, and started the training for. There was Parris Island, basic training for a Marine. Yeah. The drill instructors were mean son of a guns.
Do you remember? Remember any interesting stories or things that they would do?
Oh, really. They were mean. And in fact, a little guy from Kentucky, I remember, and he ordered us around and hit it with a swagger stick. And so on. He said, when I get through with you guys, you'll be able to shoot your own grandmother. It was tough. A lot different than today. Because we were getting ready to shoot Japs, not to pussyfoot around.
Yeah. So did you do a lot of marching or?
Oh yeah, so that's what you did. March 3 o'clock in the morning with a locker box walking around.
With a what? A locker?
Locker box.
A locker
where
box.
You, where we kept our clothes and stuff. That was our wardrobe.
So they made you carry that around when you?
That to discipline you. Another would be, there was a beam in this old barracks, World War I barrack. A beam, and if you didn't toe the track and do what they said, get up there on the beam. And so they'd climb up, these recruits climb up and said, and here's it. They'd throw an empty bucket and put it on it. Should I say the word?
Sure.
I'm a shit shirt. And loud. And the drill instructor laying in his bunk said, louder, I can't hear you. It's almost like singing.
Oh boy. How long did they make you stay up there? Did you ever have to go on the pole?
No, I didn't. I kept pretty clean. Well, the other was to use your rifle across with a bolt sticking up to sleep with your rifle. It was a real bad thing if you called your rifle a gun. Oh, that's a terrible thing.
So what was the penalty to get your attention if you called it a gun? Same kind of thing, up on the pole?
Up on
the beam.
Yeah, and sleep with your gun, your rifle.
Your rifle, right.
I've got it yet. I'm still a rifle.
Did you ever make the mistake in front of one of the drill instructors and call it a gun?
Yeah. They had what they called pith helmets when it got warm, a wide thing, and on the front was a big Marine emblem. And the drill instructor would go up inspecting, see, and all at once he bang, hit the kind of a gun thing or something, hit it, and that cut in on that emblem, like, and it made the skin, and here you're standing in a tent with the nose dropping off of some blood on your nose.
They were tough guys.
The other was standing in line. There were 66 priests, I guess, standing in line perfect. You had to be perfect behind each Marine. And I thought he was reaming somebody out near me. And I'm standing there, hoping he doesn't hit. And all wham, hit me in the butt, and down I went in the mud. I didn't do it again.
Yeah, well, you're a quick learner. Yeah. So how was how rigorous was it? And were you in pretty good shape, or tell us about the rigors of actually the
Well,
training?
It was tough. It was tough. It really was. But you're proud of it. Once a Marine, always a Marine, and that kind of thing. It was tough. And we didn't do anything. We couldn't go to a PX or a candy bar or anything. As I said, it's so different today, or even after World War II. Because you put through a strenuous training program.
So they didn't give you any time off at all?
Oh, no.
No, just all business, 7 days a week?
Yeah, it was, I don't remember the weeks, number of weeks, 12 weeks or something like that. Very rigorous training.
Yeah.
While we were there, FDR, president, he was president then, toured the base in an open car. He's sitting there in a white suit on and a cap and so on. And we'd been there almost all day, standing attention so he could see us. Yeah, I always remember that little bit.
Were you in training when it was summertime or winter? What was the season?
Well, at that in early March, I think.
All right,
It was cool, and then when it got hot, the bugs, that was the other thing. we'd had breakfast at 6 o'clock in the morning and so on, and then we got standard attention, and then the bugs were terrible, mosquitoes and so on, terrible, when it got hot. And the instructor, that was a famous thing, they said, "You had your breakfast, now let them have their breakfast." They're bugs.
Yeah.
Oh.
All right. So, any other interesting stories about that stop? If there is, we'll talk about it. If not, let's move to your next.
Well, whatever.
Where-
I
where-
don't remember any too
Okay.
many.
So from there, where did they send you? Yeah, from Parris Island.
We had about 10 weeks of rifle on the rifle range out, and that was rigorous thing on top of learning how to handle your rifle and practice on Maggie's drawers. That was a term used.
What did that mean?
If you missed it, Maggie's drawers. You know, with the drawers or underpants, I guess.
Yeah.
But 500 yards down was the travet, and you'd try to hit the one in the middle. It was pretty tough.
That's a pretty long shot, 500
yeah,
yards.
Yeah.
Yeah. How did you do with the rifle?
I mastered the part of the basic. I wasn't too good a shot.
You had been a hunter before you
Yeah.
joined them, right? Okay. Yeah. What did you hunt when you were a kid? What was it?
Deer and rabbit and pheasant, I guess.
All right. So you
There's
weren't.
a great deer country in western Pennsylvania.
Okay. All right. So you've. So where was the next stop after Parris Island?
Quantico, Virginia.
Okay.
Now that, at the end of Parris Island, we were usually in about groups that were transferred then to Lejeune and California and other places. And here I am waiting to go by myself. He said, "Henry, you're going to Quantico." I said, "Quantico." I knew that was the officer's training. I'm a low-lady private. What am I going to Quantico for? He said, "We need some training, people trained to, in fact, train the officers about weapons and so on." And here I am, a lowly private up there going across. We lived in tents, and across the street was nice barracks and so on. The officers. But I was there, I don't know, 4 or 5 months, I guess.
So you're in Quantico. Tell us about some of the things they taught you there, or were you there just to train the officers?
That was basically what it was.
So you were training the officers at this
Yeah.
point, how to use a rifle?
Weapons and 105 artillery and most all of them. We'd go on marches and then we'd go out into the woods or open and so on and shoot traffic.
All right,
But
so you,
it was a very good duty because it was only 30 miles from Washington, D.C.
and then they did give you leave at that point?
What?
You were able to have leave at that point to give some days off?
Yeah, I got 5 days at the end of boot camp. That was all I got ever. I did hitchhike home and spent, this would be 500 or 600 miles to Johnsonburg. And one time when we got orders about going to California, the CO said, "I don't want anybody leaving it within more than 100 miles. I said, "I'm going home anyway." I met my folks at the railroad station, and I only had like a couple of hours to just visit there at the railroad. And then I got back, I was really worried that they were going to catch me.
So 500 miles up and 500 miles back.
Yeah, by train.
Your mom must have been real happy to see you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. So you had 5 days of leave. Was it all travel back home, or did you get in any other situations for, while you were on leave?
Well, we didn't get any money. That 5 days was only a token. We got $50 a month is what our pay was. You didn't get any extra or any bonus or anything.
How was the food so far at Parris Island and then Quantico? How did they take care of you in the cafeteria, in the mess?
How what?
How was the food?
How's the food?
Yeah, was it good, bad?
It was pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, in Quantico was probably better because they had cooks for the officers, and we'd go over there and sneak in sometimes. We did that out in the Pacific too. The Marines had cooks, but they weren't very good because the philosophy of the Marine Corps: once a Marine, always a Marine. And if you're a goof off, it'd make you a mail clerk or a cook. Well, the cooking wasn't very good.
Okay.
And we'd sneak into a CB camp, get one of their uniforms to put on, and stand in line. And some of the guys would say, "What are you doing out there?" I said, "Gonna have supper."
Interesting. That's how they chose their cooks. Okay, so you're at Quantico and you're training these officers. Where did they send you off to next? Where were you headed?
What was that?
After Quantico, where did they have you go?
After Quantico?
Yeah.
Southern California, Camp Pendleton.
Okay.
A huge Marine Corps training band. That was a combat training, getting ready to go to the Pacific. One of the things that was funny too, but they had a tower that was about 40 feet high that was assimilating the jumping off the tower into the water or off a ship, if it was submarine. And so we lined up to climb up there 40 feet and jump off. You had to hold your chin and so on, certain things so you wouldn't bust your neck. And I saw what was going on, and I said to the sergeant in charge, I said, "I'm not going down on that thing." I said, "I don't have to." I said, "I can swim, I don't need to." "You're going to go in there." I said, "I'm not going to go." "All right, then you'll be a class behind. You may not even get the trip out in the Pacific." Well, that hurt me bad. So I climbed up, and I didn't know what I was doing. Because you just step out into air, and you look at it down 40 feet, and a swimming pool, it really kind of scary the first time. So I jumped off, and that wasn't bad. Then 4 or 5 times after that, I said, I think I'll look around a little bit. I'm done. Well, down I went, and I hit on my chest because I didn't hold myself in the right position. I thought I'd killed her. I really had red marks for a long time. I got a real lacing from the sergeant about that because they thought I was going to bust an arm or something.
But you finally got it done. That's good. What was his name? Do you remember his name?
What was that name?
The sergeant's name?
Oh, Sergeant Rude?
Sergeant Rude, that was his name? I guess that was appropriate, wasn't it?
I don't. Yeah, that was it. He was the combat trainee, or he thought he was. He's the worst individual I think had ever, in any kind of capacity for military. But he had stripes galore. Nobody liked him. No one really cared about him.
Was he older than you?
Yeah, he was old. He
Yeah,
had spent a lot of time in the Marines, and one of these guys that just thought he knew everything and didn't. And he was kind of mean type of person.
Yeah.
But anyway, that was when we left and to go to Marshall's in early 1944. And the night before we got off the ship, they usually have breakfast about 4 o'clock in the morning, and climb down this rope ladder, into a landing craft, small boat. The night before we left, one of the guys found a 20 millimeter shell, about that long, and printed on it, "We're going to get you on the beach, Rude," and put it on his chest while he was sleeping. Well, we never saw him after that. I never saw him get in a landing boat or anything. And we didn't know whether he killed or hurt or what. It was just one of those things that just disappeared, it seemed.
Hmm.
And we didn't have time to monkey with it anyway. Now it's 1950 at Cornell University. I would spend a year in graduate school there. They used to have an agricultural exhibit or something of that nature. Traffic was horrendous. And my wife, she had just got a job in a dairy agriculture outfit. And we were moving down this line of traffic into her parking place. And when I heard this sound and the guy raising his arms and yelling at the drivers and get in down here, and he finally got to it and said, "What are you doing here?" I said, "My wife has a parking place right there, 10 feet away." He said, "Well then, why isn't she driving?" Well, the whole thing, I said, "I can't believe it. I can't believe it." And then I rolled down my window and I said, "Were you Sergeant Ribs in the 4th Marine Division?" "Yeah." He said, "My God," he said, he held a tray and says, "I'll give you a parking lot and all of the same stuff going." And I just couldn't believe it. And finally she got to go to work and I went to class. And I said to Doris, I said, "I got to get down there and see what the heck happened with him." You know, that's a long time.
Yeah.
From 44 and out in the Pacific to, and so down to the patrol office. I said, "There's a Sergeant Rube that works here. Where is he now? Do you have no?" "He left 2 weeks ago and we don't know where he is." And that's the end of the
Gone
story.
again. He remembered the shell with the words on it. Huh, what a coincidence. All right. Now, when you were at Pendleton, they were training you more for combat. Any new weapons they were teaching you how to use, or new techniques? Did you do any beach landings? What were you doing at Pendleton?
Well, because we did a lot of out in the desert, particularly with artillery shooting towards targets and so on, and forced marches, and that was to Southern California. It's terrible, cactus and hurt. It's so blooming hot in the daytime and freeze at night. But that's where the basic training was to getting ready. We did a lot of landing training along the coast of California. We get our backpacks all ready to go, and then we'd go back to the barracks. Then we'd go back to the backpack. Then back out to and our company commander would say, he said, "Keep those backpacks filled and so on, because we never know when we're going to leave." So just before Christmas, we got on the ship and didn't come back till the war was over.
So just a little interjection here. What is the name of the unit you were assigned to at this point? Which Marines? Just so we have it on the record here.
I'm trying to think.
It was the 4th Marines, right? As I see
that 4th
my
Marine
notes.
Division.
Okay, and you're with an artillery unit,
The regiment.
Okay. Very good. So you're with the 4th Marines, and you're done with your training at Pendleton, so now it's time to head out to sea. What type of boat did they put you on? Do you remember? Was it one of these converted luxury liners, or was it a troop ship? What kind of ship did they have you on?
It was a LSD. LSD.
D as in David.
Yeah, and dog or something.
What did the D stand for? I've heard of other vessels with a T, but not a D. What's that?
No, it was a different. LSD, landing ship D something. But there was a couple of guys on that, maybe 30, 40 or so on. But the back end of it sunk. by motor and so on, sunk. And then they pushed the water out, and then it was bare, steel on it. And it would float in and then pump the water out. So it was a landing craft type of thing that it wasn't used very much, but it was on that one.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Did they carry troops? Did it carry vehicles as well? Tanks or anything like that?
They had, of course, on Saipan, we went in there on what we called a duck, D-U-K.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, there was an article in the plane just on the TV news, on the national news, about a duck that was in a bad accident and several people killed or something.
Yes, in Seattle it happened.
No.
It wasn't that long ago.
Well, anyway, I said to Doris, I said, they're wrong. I said, that's spelled D-U-K.
Ah, interesting.
I said, we rode one in a couple of times. And if you didn't, the islands all had a round coral reef, they call it. And if you didn't go into the land or use the water to float in, you could sit there. We were going in on Saipan when we hit, a big wave hit us. And one guy says, dude, I dropped my rifle. I said, well, I told him, I said, you'll have a lot of them on the beach when we get there. And anyway, they canked out the motor, and the Japs are dropping 8-inch shells, or bang, bang, like this. And you better get somewhere else other than their traffic, because that's what they were going to hit. And we were very close. Or other would have been blown apart.
So your main job now is artillery.
Right.
Okay. And was it a specific, it said, I think the 105 artillery was what you're specialized in?
Yeah.
Okay.
105.
So your ship is on its way from California. Where's the first stop that it made when you left California? Where did you first stop?
The Marshals.
Right, the Marshals. And then at that point, were you doing more training, or what happened next?
What happened there?
Yeah.
We tried to get the Japs out of there. Killed most of them.
Tell us about, okay, so this is your first battle, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about just at some point you're going into battle. What's going through your mind, and what's the mood on the vessel? Try to paint that picture for us.
I often thought about that and thinking, but we never, I don't know whether it was because we was only 18 years old and didn't give a hoot or what, but I never felt that I wasn't going to come back home, or I wasn't going to get hit. I never had that in my mind, except to do my job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did some of the guys have trouble with it, or
Yeah, we had some that. I remember one big guy that was standing on the beach with his helmet, and he was making sand castles or something.
Oh boy.
He had mental.
Kind of lost
couldn't
it.
take it.
Yeah. Okay, so you're getting ready to land. What's the process? How do you get out of the boat? Tell us in detail what happened on that first.
The Navy provided it, except ducks. I think that was under our jurisdiction, the duck.
Mm-hmm.
But most of the landing craft, small landing craft, with a door that went down.
The Higgins boats?
Huh?
Higgins boats, with the opening front?
Yeah. And there was a big one, like the LST was a big one to run jeeps and so on.
Mm-hmm.
But most of them, what we were on, were smaller.
So how did you get from the boat to the beach? Were you on a small landing craft?
Mostly, we get in so far, and depend on the size of the ship or beach. But either you went in and beached on the beach.
With the big vessel?
Yeah, and then it may be some of them we walked up to your lead, holding a rifle.
How much were you carrying, do you think, when you got off the vessel when you were going into combat? What kind of weight?
140, something like that.
And what were you carrying? Did you have to carry ammunition? What was all that weight from?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We said some guys that were ammunition carriers,
Yeah.
and like the artillery shells were 30. Oh, they must have been 3-4 feet long, some of them.
Mm-hmm.
And they were pretty heavy, but they had a crew that would bring those in by some Land Rover or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you're on the beach, and what's the first thing that happened in that first battle? Were you under attack? Was it? Tell us
We were
about
under
that.
fire, and when we landed there, it was beautiful trees and shade and all that coconut palms. And the third day, everything was blown apart practically. It's a miracle how we didn't lose more men. And that was where this Fritz that I talked about.
Tell us about Fritz.
Fritz he and I grew up together. His parents and my parents were very close in Pennsylvania this way. And we did a lot of things together and in trouble like most boys. So he even had a girlfriend, and all the guys did. Don't tell my wife that. But that was Fritz. And he had 5 brothers. I think it was 5 brothers, and I had 5 sisters. So they liked to visit each other, I guess. And when he joined the Navy and became a Navy corpsman for the Marines.
Mm-hmm.
And we were home. His twin brother, he had a twin brother. His twin brother joined the Army. So we were all home on a basic training of 5 days, taking pictures and so on, Army, Navy, and Marine Corps, which was kind of unusual. But that was the last time before we went to
What was Fritz's last name?
Warmbrodt,
Okay.
B-R-O-D-T.
All right. So tell us what happened. What was that led to his?
Yeah, Fritz, he joined the Navy, as I mentioned, and became a Marine. And joined the service about the same time I did, and his twin brother. And I'm doing this a little slower and getting...
Take your time.
Fritz, and we kept talking all the time about, because his parents wouldn't sign either, and all talking about going to join the service. So finally he did, and he had to go to Great Lakes, Michigan, for basic training as a basic seaman as well as medical. So then we went back off our leave of 5 days. I had to go into Washington, D.C. and transfer to Quantico by train. And I'm waiting for my train to come, when I heard, Hank. I kept looking. I said, my God, Fritz. So we ran to each other, and I said, what the God's name are you doing here? He said, I'm going to Quantico. I said, you're kidding. Both. So we were there for 4 or 5 months, and we would go into Washington on Liberty, and doing that. We didn't know much about anything, being country kids, you know.
Mm-hmm.
The sophistication of the Washington. Right? So as I said, we went in quite frequently, and then I got word that I was being transferred to California, and Fritz, he came down to see me off on the rain, and said shake hands, and we'd see each other after the war. And I went back to Quantico, and he headed to California. And then a month or so, I got transferred to go to California. And we were on a forced march one day at Camp Pendleton. And we're going up, coming back, I guess, at the end of the day, had this long road, trail like, and there was a couple trucks coming up with white uniforms on. Oh, white uniforms on the West Coast, you don't wear white uniforms, you use blue. And it's in the East Coast where they use the white one. And I kept thinking, I wonder if Fritz might be a part of that. This is California, 3,000 feet from where it started. And the trucks keep grinding up, and I heard, hey, Hank! I said, you're kidding? No, I'm assigned to the 24th Marines as a Navy corpsman.
Again.
Medical. I said, I can't believe it, I can't believe it. So we were there, I don't know, 4 or 5 months, and we used to go almost every weekend into Los Angeles, hitchhike on trucks. And there was a couple couples, Italian people, who had moved out to California several years before that, and invited us to spaghetti dinners. It was real nice.
Real good, huh?
But here we are doing those kinds of things together like we had been doing.
Wow. Tell us about what you did. I mean, 18, 19 years old in LA. What kind of trouble did you get into?
Any what trouble?
Yeah, when you were on leave with your buddy.
No, I don't think we.
Never got in trouble, huh?
There'd be a couple of the guys had too much beer, and but we were, as I said, on training and combat training, and working our way through that. And I didn't know, anything about him at that time because he was in another outfit and so on. And then we headed to the down to the West Coast and then out to the Pacific, to the Marshall. And then they took us back to Maui. And even between that, I didn't know, hadn't seen him or heard him or anything. And so then finally we did connect with each other on Maui. And he looked, well, that was interesting too, the troop trip to them after the Quantico, or after the Marshall. They took us back to so-called rest camp on Maui. And Maui, the people liked what we were doing, I guess, built a big monument in our honor on Maui. So Fritz was there, and we'd go with him and walk to town to have a couple of beers or something. And I'd see Fritz and we'd do some things together. And he says, Hank, I wake up at night with nightmares. I said, what are you talking about? He says, I can't get over it. I just can't get over it. One night, and he says, I sent Elaine, his girlfriend, $200. I said, when did you do that? You're crazy, 18 years old, you don't get shared or raid. He doesn't want to get raided yet. And he said, well, I think hopefully that she'll think a lot of me if I don't come back. And so then we headed out to the Marianas. And I didn't know, after it was secured, it took about a month or so. Secured, I was able to find some time off and go look him up. And I couldn't find him, nobody, his outfit informed me that he wasn't in that unit or something. And I still didn't know what happened to him until our CO says, I got a couple of trucks and they're having a memorial service down on the beach for the guys that were killed. And so we went down, and then we were about ready to go back up to our bivouac area when something made me look down. There was a cemetery. looked down just like this. That still to this day, I could feel something. Looked down and read his name on the cross. That's how I found out. His parents received from the Navy a notice about his being killed in Saipan. His twin brother was seriously wounded in Normandy at the same time that he was. And I said that story is just as livid today as it was 66 years ago or so. They moved his body back to Hawaii, the Honolulu area. They called it Punch Bowl, I guess it's called. And his parents, his twin brother, I got notice that same afternoon that they'd heard about Fritz was wounded in Normandy. But he got over it and went back into someplace in Europe. And now.
So that's how you lost your friend. That's unfortunate. Tell us about what your thoughts were. You're starting to see your first casualties. Your friend is now passed away. What's going through your mind? Is it changing you at this point? Are you growing up fast? Are you still? Tell us about.
No, I saw probably a great loss in Fritz. But as far as the other, I know that life had to go on, and to get a job. That was the main thing, because I didn't at that time didn't have any college education or anything.
Right.
My folks didn't have money to send me to college.
Sure.
Even then the GI Bill came about. That made a whole difference, because I could, go to college, buy books, room and board, and everything else.
So let's talk more specific about the kind of the chronology of the battles and the different places that you went. From the Marshals, you were at the rest camp and then did some more training, correct?
Yeah.
Training in new things, or were they just honing your skills more?
You have to repeat it.
When you went back to rest camp, were they doing more training at that point?
Oh yeah. I don't know whether you call it training. It kept us busy. Much. Then if it was the artillery group, there was always something new or training, or whether you could handle that job or not. I was a gunner. I knew the whole thing.
Tell us about the gun tell us about the details of that gun and how it operated and the caliber. Tell us what you remember about how to operate that.
The gunner, well, first of all, they had a piece, I guess they call it an A piece. You looked in, they put stakes like out maybe 30, 40 yards, and you'd line this step up to get exactly where you were going to go, or where the thing we'd shoot. But then be lowered, ready to go. The guys with the shells would ram them into the barrel. And then I'd give the word and they'd set it up, and you could see it. You could see one of those shells flying through the air. And then explain 3 or 4 miles away, explain the explosion. Some of the guys had pretty tough jobs, and I was worried. I got citation for another fellow and I. It's in that book, I think. We probably mentioned it. We got a battle type of citation, and which was an honor, and so on. But they had to keep the equipment in good shape.
How many men were in a crew that ran one gun? How many did it take to run one gun of these?
I'd be 4 or 5. Because there were a couple of guys with the shells, and then the loader, and then what I was doing as a gunner.
Were you the person that aimed the gun, the gunner?
Yeah.
Okay, so did it require some calculations, or how did you actually do that? Or did you just use the sight?
they use a sight, and you had to twist it, and you had to know arithmetic a little bit. Some of the guys couldn't do that, but to get it lined up, and when the fire.
So okay, so that was your main job, and is that the job you had now? You also, after Hawaii, you went to Saipan, I believe, correct? Can you tell us a little bit about the battles at Saipan and what happened there?
So where was
At
this?
Saipan.
Oh, on Saipan?
Yeah.
Well, see, Saipan was the major beachhead for the Marines, and the Japs had, I guess, had it from World War I.
Tell me in great detail about the battle for Saipan and some of the things that were happening at that time.
On Saipan,
Yeah.
the beachhead. In fact, I have a bunch of stuff that I have a map yet of the landing map, where we're going to actually go in and land.
Okay.
That was in the beach, and that was the place where I said those ducks were. You know, the duck went in on it, and it stalled out on the coral reef. And then we moved in.
And were the Japanese shelling you from the land, or were there planes overhead?
The Japs, or the American planes, by then, most of the planes, or the Navy, and had riddled the, and 8-inch, more than that, sometimes 16-inch shells from the big, big, what do you call them? Ships, the big ships. They'd shoot all night long. You'd see this red, tail light, almost like, going to, and then boom, 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 all night long. There weren't too many needs at that time because they'd already sunk most of the Japs out in the causeway. That was the interesting thing about a Japanese. Aslito Airport was the airport the Japs had. Pretty well fortified and all that. There was a Jap pilot had a plane yet that took off and flew up, and he thought the Japs still had the airport yet. And he's flying around it, so the Americans talked him down to come down by radio. And he'd come down and got in the hands of the Americans.
Landed right in their
So
lap.
he ended the war there.
Yeah.
Other than Saipan, I'm trying to think of any details. There was a big Grand or something. It was a big warehouse that we blew up. As the Japs had, I had some of the stuff that I had to show you, maybe before you leave.
Yeah, what we'll do is after we do this interaction, we'll look at some of the things that you brought, and you can talk about those specifically.
Somehow or other, I stuck in my pack. We were moving inland. I saw this, it looked like a scarf, and I got it, and I just put it in my backpack. Well, I still have it. The Japs, some of them didn't have a helmet liner, a liner that had something inside that keep it from banging your head if there was a shell. And they just put a cloth on, and it has an emblem of the Japanese, like a sailor's type of thing. It was actually a Marine, Japanese Marine. And put that in my back, but I still have it.
Okay.
What I got?
Your position on the beach as the gunner, Did you see many casualties? Were they around you? Or
yeah.
tell us a little bit about that and how you.
I
you know, the-
never really had any. I was so busy getting things ready, or not being there, and getting out of the way, because they really riddled us with the 8-inch shells.
Mhm.
Some of them would slide by maybe 10 feet away, and we'd jump into a foxhole.
But you were never hit.
No, I never. I felt that some scrapple might be light then, but I was fortunate.
Yeah.
I had real problems, still have, with my hearing. I went for about 2 weeks. Instead of going to sick bay and getting checked out, I didn't do that.
You lost your hearing for about 2 weeks?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's always caused me problems all the time. But
Guns must have been very loud.
and it's always been bad,
Yeah.
but even worse so now. These so-called hearing aids, they're not much worth.
Yeah. How many shells could you fire? How long would it take to fire one shell and then the next? Was there multiples per minute or a few minutes in between?
Just hardly a minute.
So about one a minute,
If
maybe?
you need it, if they called from us, FO, they called.
Forward observer?
Yeah, up and above, 4 or 5 miles, they'd have a dugout and directing me down to the den.
And you were
Yeah,
connected by, was it a radio or was it a wired connection to the forward observer?
Wire.
Wired, okay,
Yeah.
so phone kind of thing.
Yeah, we didn't have none. We had 2 guys in our outfit that were communications guys. And we get off on the line sometimes and rest, and they'd back their Jeeps with these radios on them, one here and one here, and then they'd start. Sector, how do I say? Big Fox 16-1 over, 16-2 over. You could hear them all over, and I said, for God's sake, shut up, we're not too far from Jap.
All right, so any more comments on the activities on Saipan?
The Japanese, had a religion at that time, of course, all through the Southeast Asia. That was their religion to get every Japanese. Some of them, the private, had a wooden Harry Curry knife, and the officers might have pearl or even diamond sometimes. And we were warned about do not pick up any souvenirs, because it'd blow right in your face. They had everything booby
trapped.
Yeah.
Tell us about what you knew about the Japanese. They were known to typically not surrender. What did you observe?
What is what?
What did you observe? The Japanese, we were told, didn't surrender frequently. It was a
You just had
dishonor.
to kill them before you killed you. They'd at night banzai charge. That meant some of them didn't even have rifles; it had sticks or sharpened sticks to rush our lines and so on. They just the guys up on the line, and sometimes even these artillery pieces, they'd level the barrel and blow them apart. It was a sad kind of thing, but that was either they killed or we killed.
Right. So the banzai charges weren't usually successful for them. They just got mowed right down.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
That was it a last ditch effort on their part, do you think?
Yeah. Yeah, they had a lot of that at Iwo Jima, which I wasn't there. And a lot of in those holes and stuff that they had.
Yeah.
And in Guam, we had to dig out some places. There were Japs that wouldn't give up for 30 years because they still thought there was their religion. And we had patrols sometimes to go out to try to flush them out to get them, because they were a nuisance. They were shooting. They'd steal rifles or something and kill some of the Marines.
Okay. What at this point you've seen a fair amount of action. I'm wondering, how did all of this affect your faith, and what did it? Your faith in God.
What's that again?
You've seen a lot of action at this point, and I'm wondering, how did this impact your faith in God?
Well, I think probably, even though I didn't know much as an 18-year-old, I said, I'm sure several times that, thank God, I hope they miss me. They'll miss me.
Yeah. So you
Yeah,
remember?
I was scared,
Yeah.
but I didn't really bother me any.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So from Saipan, did you go right to Tinian, or where did you get a break in between?
From where?
After Saipan,
We went back to that camp, Tarawa,
in Hawaii.
in Hawaii, the big
Okay.
island.
So they had you there for a little while again.
Then they took us to Guam. We got ready to go to. We had our guns and everything ready to go to Tokyo Bay.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been another big problem.
Right.
Not only a problem, but they'd lost. Well, they estimated 1 million men, because the Japs still had that religion thing.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And then, of course, they dropped the bomb, and that was it.
Right.
But you know, that was it. It was on. You haven't mentioned anything about Tinian.
Right. Tell us about Tinian. That was another battle you participated in, right?
Tinian was right across the bay, a small causeway, 3 or 4 miles. Just before, we had already secured Saipan, so this was concentrating on Tinian, a smaller island. They lined up on Saipan, on the base, lined up with artillery pieces, mortar shells, and you name it, for probably a mile or two, all along this cliff. And just rained. God, I don't know how a cricket could have kept it alive. Rained all these weapons on Tinian. And, you know, we thought, well, we won't have to do anything. You know, they blew everything apart. Well, they were waiting for us.
So famous last words, right?
They were dug in so deep and so then. But it was something that happened that hadn't been happened. The soldiers, Jap soldiers, a few of them, began to surrender, which was unusual, because they didn't know about surrendering. And we didn't trust them. So a few more would jump. What they're doing, just before that, some of the soldiers, Japanese soldiers, jumped off of the cliff 100 feet high into the ocean. And we had a lieutenant with a megaphone. He kept talking, we're not going to kill you, we're not going to hurt you. And there was a Japanese superintendent of a sugar cane factory, come out in the street, and we're begging the soldiers and the other civilians to give up. And then even his wife came out, and the Americans will not kill you. Americans will not kill you. You could hear that around, but they were jumping by the hundreds, families over. They wore these black uniforms, not uniforms, gowns, but jumping over in the rocks, and big, huge rocks in the ocean. And I can see that yelling. It was awful. But then Tinian, where people say, well, I remember a couple we played with down in North Carolina. This fellow was in the Army, and he was in the Air Force on Tinian. And he got some publicity about it, and I said to his name was Gene or something. I said, you got some nice publicity about that's where the big plane, the B-29, went. I said, you got nice publicity. And I said, oh yeah, I did. And I said, you wouldn't have got a doggone bit if it hadn't been for Irvin Henry. What do you mean? I said, we had to clear the Japs out of here before we could you put a plane on.
Yeah.
But that was a little less. Some of it was hot, pretty hot in some places, but it was a nice little place with houses and so on.
So
it was different than Saipan.
Did you ultimately have to land at Tinian as well after they shelled it? Was there actually a landing at Tinian?
Landing?
Yeah, where the troops had to go in. And
Well, the shells. Well, we went in by landing craft. That one and dropped the front across the way.
how long was it? A lengthy battle to secure Tinian, or what do you recall about
It
it?
wasn't much, but it's kept in pots of things, we call it. There was certain places that they were very, very well fortified, the Japs, and it was only those few that began to surrender some that they didn't. This common soldier didn't want to surrender.
How did you get them out of the fortifications? They were dug in. They're different caves and pillboxes. How did you do it?
Throw grenades or flamethrowers, called flamethrowers. That burned them right on.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Very good. So that's any other comments on Tinian at this point, or?
No, I got dengue fever there.
Yeah. How'd that work out? How long did you have that? Tell us about it.
A week. It must have been a week or two. Dengue is a little different than the malaria. There is malaria, on those islands, but dengue was they call it the backbone breaking or something like that. It felt miserable, temperature and so on. And I remember we had a lieutenant who was a doctor, I guess. He gave me some white pills or something. It didn't last too long, a week or so.
When you were sick, where did they have you? Were you on land or in the ship, or where does? When you were ill, did they put you in a hospital or ship, or were you on land?
No,
or?
I just kept going.
Oh, you had to keep
I had
going.
to keep work. You're not too good sick or something. No, he did check me, but that wasn't enough to worry about, I guess.
Okay. All right. So, are there any other battles after that? Or are we getting close to the end of the war at this point?
No.
That was about the end.
On Guam, as I said, we were flushing those Japs out of the holes. It was maybe a one-way thing because they weren't very well certified or anything.
Right. Okay. All right. If there's no more specific battles that you'd like to talk about or things, we kind of move into the reflection part of the interview. Or is there anything else stories you'd like to relate before we move to that phase?
Yeah, I don't.
Pretty well set on the history part. Okay.
Your questions help me to generate remembrances and so on. So,
Okay. All right. Let's look back on your reflections on the war. Tell us how it changed you. Tell us a little bit about how it may have changed your personality or your outlook on life.
Well, number one, I went to college, and I had an ambition that I wanted to do something better than work in a paper mill. Not that there were good jobs there and all that, but I wanted something different. I always did, even before the war, even before joining the Marine Corps. I wanted to do something. I didn't want to work in that stinking old paper mill. That paper would, and about changing I don't think I went to church anymore. And I guess when Doris got married, probably changed me some.
Well, another thing a lot of people say in the service is, especially if you come from a small town, you are suddenly exposed to a lot of different people from all over. Tell us a little bit about that, what it was like to meet maybe somebody of another race or another religion or somebody from a totally different part of the country. You're all thrown together there.
Well, talking about race and so on like that, there was never in my hometown all the years, and to this day, any black family in that community. And some of the other communities around, different places, which is kind of, well, we even have that here in New York State, years ago. And in Johnsonburg, there's prejudices between the Italians, the Polish, the Germans, and they had their own little stores and so on, and that you could buy things. Every corner almost had a grocery store, but it was all tailored to
Different
German,
ethnic.
German food and or whatever. And all good. I lived through the Depressions, which is another story.
What is your ethnic background? What was your family's origin?
Well, that Big Run, Pennsylvania, and going back.
Where did they come from? And were they from Europe originally before somebody came here? Or?
No, I was going to just mention back 4 or 5 generations, there were 2 brothers called James and John. Wachob, W-A-C-H-O-B, my mother's side of the family, an unusual name, but it was Irish, Scotch or something, kind of a combination. Came in the 1750s, came to this country.
Way back.
They settled down in farming in around Punxsutawney. Every generation since then, there's a James and John. James spent 4 years in the Civil War. He was a soldier in the Civil War. And he came back, he had quite a business operating. They had a good history of James Walker.
So does your family have a long history of military service? 1750 goes back before the Revolution, of course.
Yeah.
What knowledge do you have of your ancestry and their participation in war?
Not a whole lot.
Not a lot. The Civil War.
Except the Civil War.
Right. Okay.
He was wounded in the hip and almost died of typhoid fever. We have some letters that he wrote to his wife, and with just a little notice. It wasn't too much to it. I don't know how he got it, but one of the families in the Wachob family has written a book. It's just being published about that family and the groundhogs and so on.
Okay. All right. So again, you're thrown together with people of all different walks of life. I mean, this is you said that back home they'd have their own little separate stores and maybe even their own churches and whatnot. But how did you feel about being mixed in all of a sudden with people of all different religions and?
I don't remember much of anything except I might say that my mother would be prejudiced.
But you guys, you boys, as they called you, just pretty much had a job to do and came together as a team?
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you think that shaped our country going forward? I mean, that was a pretty big deal for somebody to leave the farm and get mixed in with all these people.
Weren't very many all these people. But trying to disseminate the feel of what you're asking, there wasn't a whole lot of different people. The Catholics, it couldn't be Catholic. In fact, that was another. My high school had a annual prom, and every year you, of course, to date a girl, and I needed $5 to take a date to this banquet and the prom, you know, like the prom that they still have today. My mother would not give me, she said, I'm not giving you a penny for that Catholic. And now that was a prejudice kind of.
Yeah.
But you know, later, of course, the grandchildren and so on went Catholic church. Didn't matter.
Yeah.
That's really about only didn't know much difference in people.
Right. This is the commendation for Corporal Irvin Henry for excellent service in the line of his profession and outstanding conduct under heavy enemy artillery and mortar fire during the invasion and capture of Saipan, Mariana Islands, 15 June to 9 July 1944. By his initiative, energy, and devotion to duty, he contributed materially to the smooth operation of the battery, of which he was a member until it was rendered inactive by intense enemy fire on 16 June 1944. Tell us, sir, how the circumstances under which you received the commendation.
Well, first of all, when we got there, the Japs had already been laying 8 shells, exploding shells all around.
And this is in Saipan, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
It was all around shit. And then we lost a bunch of guys. Wounded, most of them were wounded and taken out of there. And there were 2 of us left. And I'm trying to do this order, and there's stuff blowing around you, and we couldn't do whole. We kept at it. We knew we had to keep them off. They were pushing towards us, the Japs were, and we kept throwing more. And we were doing our gunners' work, and others, because the other guys were hit or something.
So it was just the 2 of you at that point?
Yeah.
How long did that go on for? Was it a lengthy situation?
The what?
How long did you have to operate with just 2 men?
Oh, I don't know. Probably, if it was even a half an hour, I don't.
And
everybody was yelling and screaming. The Japanese are really hit, because they were just, and they didn't, you know, those times they didn't give up. That was part of their religion.
And you were loading and shooting as fast as you could.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. All right. So let's go back to the reflections again. I just want to make sure that and you can feel free to look at your notes, if there's any other reflections relative to your service that you have that you'd like to talk about, any messages maybe that you'd like to give to politicians or young folks that are thinking about war or joining the service.
Well, in about young people, whether they were young or what, in Johnsonburg, they had a good attitude about war, and to protect our, you know, maybe a little bit of conservatism, but you know, there wasn't any big change, I don't think, from Johnsonburg, except there are people, as you mentioned, coming from all over the world or all over the United States, you know, traveling away from there and coming back. But whether they changed or what, I don't know.
Okay. All right. Any messages you'd like to give to our politicians as they someday have to send young men and women into harm's way? Anything you'd like them to think about before they made that hard decision.
Well, that's what they ought to think about it first. And I suppose that the political stance doesn't allow them, or for some reason or other. They want to be elected for the next term. And the only way you can do that is to do what the public thinks they are. And sometimes the public isn't a very good bet either. I don't know.
Okay. All right. So tell us a little bit about actually when you found out the war ended. How did you find out that the war was over with?
I was on Guam when that happened. I was a sergeant then, by then. And I had sergeant of the day duty. And that night we were in a palm olive grove, a camp where it is in Guam, hotter than blue blazes. But anyway, that night there was a lot of noise started from seemed to be out over near the bay where we were, and it started yelling. I said, "What's going on?" And I had responsibility to. The lights are turned out. It's on at 10 o'clock. It's on, and all at once, everybody's yelling over near where we were. "What's going on?" I said, "The war is over." They would say, "The war is over." Everybody's screaming and yelling. I could hear that. Yeah.
What went through your mind then? I mean, what you had to be? What were you thinking?
The what?
What were you thinking when you found out the war was over with?
Oh, good.
I made it, right?
Yeah.
I made it.
But then we had to go the next morning on with this patrol business and get the stupid Japs out of the holes.
Oh, you were getting them out of the, got it.
Yeah.
So it wasn't exactly over for you yet. It was over, but you had to clean up the mess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did that take a long time to get them cleaned out of the holes, or?
Well, some of them took 30 years. They lived, I don't know how they lived, but they did.
Yeah.
But there was write-ups about that in some of the history books and so on.
Yeah.
Of World War II.
So where did they send you when you were? How did you get home? Where'd you go?
Well, I took back to from Guam to San Diego, and then San Diego up to Camp Pendleton to a tent camp, waiting. We didn't have our uniform. We didn't have any money. We didn't have any beer. We were mad. You know, here we'd been out there in the Pacific for 2.5, 3 years, and they dump us out here in the camp. So one night the guys got together and we walked about 6 or 7 miles to a PX, which was pretty well fortified with beer and so on. And we walked and having a real party. We didn't have much, but we had all the beer we wanted.
You had a good time, though.
Had a good time.
Yeah.
So it was then they finally found a way to give us some money, I guess, and got on a train to Bainbridge, Maryland. And that was a Navy base. And that's where I was discharged to the Marines.
Okay, so how'd you get home?
My mother.
Where'd you head back to?
A train, the water, the Pennsylvania Railroad.
Yeah.
In those days, it was running. You know, could you go good any place on the railroad?
Yeah.
And my mother met me with her old Model A, and it was in December 5th or something like that. Snow about a foot or more. I hadn't seen snow for a couple of years.
So what'd your mom say? What'd she do when she saw you?
Oh, she was glad. Yeah.
Had you changed? I mean, sometimes guys said they came home and they were a lot bigger, and sometimes they came home and they were a lot smaller. Had you physically changed when you were gone all those years?
Was I changed?
Yeah, did your body change? You know, sometimes guys came back and they didn't look anything like when they left.
Well, I didn't gain much. I was probably on 143 when I went in, and when I was 140 or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, recent years, added a lot of things around the belt.
Did they have a homecoming party, or what did you do the next couple of days?
I went downtown, looked around to see if I knew anybody.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't too many around at that time.
At that time, did you find out about some other fellows that didn't make it home, or?
Yeah. And they usually had that in the newspaper.
Mm-hmm.
I think there were, I don't know, 6 or 7 from my class of 42. They were killed, including Fritz.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Very good. So now you're home. What did you do next? Did you? What was your plan?
I went to work in the wood yard of the paper mill.
The place you said you didn't want to go, right?
Yeah. And anyway, I was working there, just labor work. They hired you and spent as many hours you wanted, so I was making pretty good money for the time. And I bought a 1940 Pontiac. Wow, I was really riding high. And it was just common labor work, throwing billets of logs out from the railroad car.
Mm-hmm.
But that's when we met in March of 1946.
Mm-hmm.
And then we didn't get married till 49.
Mm-hmm.
But I was in school and
Yeah.
couldn't
So
afford.
You went to school in Clarion University? Is that
Right.
where you went? And you were studying, what were you studying at that time?
Education,
Education.
teaching.
And what degree did you finally achieve at that school?
Well, I think I taught school a couple of years, then I did guidance,
Mm-hmm.
and I was superintendent 30 years.
So you were, says here you were in Newfield first at a high
Yeah.
school, Newfield,
Right.
New York?
Yeah,
Okay. And then from there you came up to
Groton,
Groton, and your duties in Groton, what were you doing in Groton?
yeah.
What was your job in Groton?
I was guidance and superintendent.
Okay, superintendent. And that looks like years 51 through 63, and then after that,
Went to BOCES,
BOCES in Ithaca,
right?
superintendent there as well. Yeah,
I was superintendent in the BOCES,
Mhm.
not the local superintendent.
okay.
And then it came to 1972 to Syracuse.
Okay, and that would be the Onondaga Cayuga BOCES, correct? All right, and then finally you retired in
1984.
84. Okay.
Moved the next day to Western North Carolina.
Okay, so that's retirement was down there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we came back in '06, and people down there thought we were crazy. We come back in the winter.
Yeah.
It's beautiful country.
And in retirement, how did you keep busy in retirement? You've been retired quite a while here.
In the summer,
Whenever, yeah.
huh?
What did you do in retirement? You've been retired.
Retirement.
Yeah. How'd you keep busy?
I've been on a number of mission trips, 16 in fact,
With your church?
from Zimbabwe to Alaska to Bolivia, Mexico, Guatemala, 16 different places.
16. What church do you attend that went on the mission trips?
How what?
What was your church? What was the name of your church?
As a member of the church?
What was the name of your church?
Emmanuel.
Emmanuel
Emmanuel.
Methodist Church.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, very good.
And some of it was through health organizations, like in Bolivia. I took a 17-year-old granddaughter with me to Bolivia.
Mm-hmm.
She had taken a lot of Spanish in high school, and I thought it would be a pretty good experience
Mm-hmm.
to go to a Spanish-speaking country.
Sure, yeah.
He had also helped build Habitat for Humanity houses for several years.
Okay, worked with Habitat for Humanity as well? Okay.
That was down
Volunteer.
in North Carolina. I haven't done much here.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Is there anything else you'd like to add as we approach the end of the interview?
Oh, you really picked my brains.
That's my job. So
I'm trying to think whether there's any, I suppose that when I walk out that door, then I remember.
most of all, we want to put on the record that we're greatly appreciative of your time and your openness, sharing your memories with us. And most of all, we thank you for your service to our country.